What's going on, people? I'm Zephyros, and welcome to my channel. So, today is hopefully the start of what I hope will be a long series of videos where I do hero spotlights, basically talking about specific heroes that are already in the game and what their kits are and where I think that they'll be best used. And today we're going to be talking about King Harz, just because he's obviously just been on the banner, the ancient banner. And so there's probably a lot of people out there who have pulled him. And if you're a newer player, hopefully this guide, this spotlight will kind of give you ideas on where to use him and where best to use him. Right. So with that all being said, let's get into it. Now, before we get kind of started looking at his kit, there's one thing with King Harz that I think is important to say, right? He's become a bit of a meme pull when it comes to Lords. And I think a lot of that is down to how many times Fastidious has actually pulled him. People kind of watch those videos and judging by his reactions every time he pulls them, they think, oh, he must be really rubbish. But look, the luck that Fastidious has had to pull this guy so many times is it's so bad. It's awful to keep pulling the same lord again and again and again when there are so many other lords that he would be wanting to pull to help his account. That's why he gets so annoyed, I assume, right? Because King Harz himself is not a bad hero. He's not top tier. Don't get me wrong. He's not top tier, but he's not bad. I still actually use King Harz in certain areas of the game, and I'm going to show you actually where I use him. Um, but yeah, so if you've pulled King Harz, don't feel disheartened just because you've seen other content creators getting annoyed because they pulled him. It's not because he's a bad hero, it's because they keep pulling him and they want to pull other heroes. That's all it is, all right? So to get started, we'll look at his kit. All right, so look at his skills, all right? So we'll start off with his basic attack. Actually, no, let's start with his talent. All right, so his talent is when King Harz is shielded, his attack has a 20% chance to inflict the enemy of freeze. So part of the northern faction or the northern faction and part of King Harz's build is that you get a lot of freezes out there. So, like for example, your tanks like Brokir, they do freezes. You've got heroes like Glacius, who again has freezers in his kit. So these guys are designed to actually throw out freezers. Um, and again, yeah, like Brokir, again, freezers. They do a ton of freeze damage, a ton of freeze CC. Sorry. So that is actually good when it comes to King Harz. It synergizes well with his kit, and that he's also throwing these freezers out, right? And they also do the shields as well. So part of the northern faction. So when you've got your Gwendolyn's, you've got your Vortex, the healers who actually put shields out on the heroes. So his King Harz's A1, he actually does rage regen. So every 4 attacks, he just helps restore rage. Um, and it's so that and you obviously him restoring his rage just means that he does his ultimate quicker, where again he does freezes. In King Harz's kit, ignore damage. This guy does not do damage, so I don't know why these parts of his kit are in there. But he does. He you get really good freezes out of him, and he throws up a massive shield, right? On his ultimate. So ideally, because you're going to be building King Harz as a tank, you want him ulting as much as possible, right? So you want to build speed into King Harz. You want him when he's blocking something, you want him to be just using his basic attack as much as possible, as quickly as possible as well, right? His passive is anytime he has any type of shield, he reduces physical damage. So it doesn't change magical damage that he's taking, but it reduces 30% of physical damage, which is huge. It does really help him restrict the incoming damage. And then his next passive is anytime he's got a shield on, he basically makes it 60% better. Which is again great. So if you pair him with your Vortex or your Gwendolyn, he's going to be throwing up a lot of shields and his big shields, and he's going to be reducing his damage quite a lot. So this all really synergizes really well. He goes with his faction really well, and then his Lord skill. So his Lord skill is obviously the usual legendary Lord thing is the 15% bonus, but then he also does this thing where periodically he'll basically you'll get this little animation where a shield will get thrown up on all the heroes within the faction, so within the Northerner faction, right? And the shield that they get is dependent on their own HP, but it will be 15%, and it also increases the defense of shielded faction members. So when they've got these shields on, they're actually reducing any incoming damage. And how often that shield procs, how often it actually happens, is dependent on how many people are actually on the team. So if you've got a full team of 5, it will happen more frequently. All right, full team of 5 Northerner heroes. So overall, his kit is not bad. His kit is actually all right. As a tank, he's not bad. His stats, his stats are, I'd say they're all right. They're not the very best. Like his HP, there are other heroes who have better HP and defense than him. So he's 27.7 and 3.6. Brokir is 29 and 4. So this is one of the things that I'm kind of like, you're the lord of the faction, yet one of the legendaries in your faction has better base stats than you as a tank, and you're meant to be a tank. So, and he also Brokir also actually has better CC as well. But it's a bit weird. But yeah, his stats aren't the best. So he's not top tier as a tank, but he's still very viable as a tank, right? So base stats, yeah, it does leave a lot kind of to be desired there. But in terms of his, and bearing in mind this HP is after I have him at A2, right? So I have my King Harz at A2. Um, but yeah, so it's not bad, right? But where I think he really drops off is his awakenings. His awakenings do not make sense to me personally, right? The reason I say that is I'll go through them with you, right? So his A1 is amazing. His A1 is great. It's such a good A1. Fury of Winter, which is basically his ultimate, generates a shield to protect all surrounding allies. So his ultimate without any awakenings means that he just drops a shield on himself, right? And then that procs the freezes. Now, on his A1, anybody within one tile around him, so that box around him, he's thrown a massive shield on them as well. So when it comes to sustainability, at A1, he becomes so good for that, right? So can't knock his A1. His A2, meh, it's fine. 1,200 HP, which isn't really that much. Like if it increased it by like 2,500 or 3,000 and made him equivalent to like Brokir's HP, then I'd be like, okay, wow, really good. But it's fine. It's fine. I don't have any problems with this one, to be fair. And also because he's a Lord, he also gets um, team members also get an extra 10% shield. So great, just gives a little bit of extra sustain. This next one is where I'm like, what is the point of this A3? This is just a stupid A3, and whoever put this in doesn't understand what he is there for, right? So his A3 deals 100% extra damage to controlled enemies. What? He's a tank. This guy does not do damage. Like you're not going to find a single account that uses King Harz as a damage dealer. I'm sorry, but anyone who knows anything is not building him as a damage dealer. So why does he have increased damage? He hits like a wet noodle. This just means he hits like 2 wet noodles. What's the point? But right, so this I don't get. This should be changed. Give him, I don't know, give him freeze immunity. There's loads of new heroes that are coming out that provide freeze immunity, and it's one of those where the Northern faction, a lot of them, it's like Glacius, I think, offers a bit of freeze immunity, or has freeze immunity, I should say. Um, so there's probably going to be content that's coming out that needs freeze immunity. This guy's a lord of the faction that freezes. He should be immune to freezing, right? So his whole aesthetic is kind of based around ice. His sword is like these purple ice crystals. His armor, even his intro is all freezes, right? So it's like it would make sense for his A3 to be like immune to freeze. His A4, this is good. Okay, all damage reductions, 8%. Yeah, fine, good. That's a useful one. His A5, again, whoever made this A5, do they understand how the stats work? It's been proven healing effect doesn't impact tanks. Healing effect impacts healers. So when someone's got higher, if someone's putting out heals, and they have a higher healing effect, they do better. It basically multiplies whatever their healing stat is based on. So if they're an attack based healer, it looks at what their base attack level is, and then it adds a multiplier based on what their healing effect is. Right? King Harz doesn't heal, so why are you increasing his healing effect? What what is the point of that? So that's basically a useless A5, right? It's been shown that if you increase the healing effect on a tank, it doesn't increase how much heals they get from a healer. It stays the same. So this is useless. Take it out, put it in something. It doesn't need to be anything broken. It just needs to be something that maybe just give him a bit of extra rage regen. Anytime he takes a hit, he gets an extra 1% rage regen, something like that. Just it just means that he'll proc his ult a bit quicker, right? The A5 is meant to be something that just takes them to the pinnacle of what they should be, right? And this just does nothing. What is the point of this, right? So that these are the only qualms I have with King Harz's build, where I'm just kind of like, okay, you could have done that a bit better. So his A3 and his A5, I think CC, even if you switch it around, his A3 is where he just gets a little bit of extra rage regen based on how often he's hit, and then this becomes CC immunity to freeze immunity. Then I think suddenly he's still not broken. There's still so many other better tanks in the game, but it's just adding to him. So that's what I think they should be doing in terms of his kit. So now what I want to show you guys is actually where I use King Harz, because like I said earlier, there are actually areas where I use him. So first example, I still use him in Gear 8 too. So I'm just going to show you my auto run. So I have a speed auto run, right? So I'll just quickly show you. Oh, it would help if I actually showed the auto and not a background, right? So look, we'll go into it, and I'll show you why I use it. Right. So first thing I do once I get the cost right, I put Sadie down and then Harz is down. So the reason I put Harz down is because I use Praetus to speed kill the boss. So once Praetus is down, I need Praetus to survive the very first earthquake, just hit the golem streak, right? So I use there. I don't know if you see it there, but if you slow it down, I used King Harz's shield ability. I used his A1 to basically throw up a shield. Um, and that allows Praetus. I obviously use Sadie as well. I use Sadie's ult to limit damage, um, and then it means that I survive that first golem streak or any golem streak that I need. King Harz will put up the shields. Sadie will reduce the damage, and Praetus then lives long enough to actually use his lightning damage to just kill the boss. True damage means that the boss's defense reductions are useless, right? Um, so that's King Harz is really useful there. He makes it possible to keep Praetus alive and do my run and do it quicker, right? So he's viable. He's a good hero that you can use, and that is gear rate to stage 21, right? So it's um it's he's definitely viable. So anyone who says that he's not usable or he's just rubbish, don't listen to him. You can use him even in end game content, all right? So that's good. That's gear A 2, right? The next place I still actually use him is I'll show you my gear dungeon 1. Right, so we'll go to again stage 10. Just throw it on auto so you can see what my run is, right? So on this stage, I place Brokir. Brokir is my go-to tank. He's, for me, best tank in the game, I think, right? He's just got so much utility. But you need two tanks here, right? And the best thing about Harz is he also, because he's the Lord, he boosts Brokir, and he's strong enough to tank all the damage here. So this is Harz here. And look at those shields he's putting up with his A1. So he's making it pretty damn easy. He's also boosting Valk up here because again, Northerner. So some of the best heroes for this faction, for this gear dungeon, Harz is the one who's actually the lord for them. He's boosting a lot of their damage. I've also got Gwendolyn up here, who again is being boosted by King Harz. So it's he's so viable for these areas of the game, um, and I think he doesn't get the respect he deserves. I think as a hero, I think he's a lot better than people make him out to be. Um, so yeah, that's geared under two. I might as well just let the run finish so you guys can see how I do it. Don't normally take this long. Oh, need to tweak that because that should be dying a lot quicker. Unless I don't have gear on someone, maybe. But yeah, okay. So that's gear dungeon one. That's where I use them as well. To this day, I still use King Harz and I use King Harz in gear dungeon one and gear aid two. Right. The other areas of the game that you can still use King Harz, guild versus guild. I'm going to put out a video where I show the banner heroes, Ardea and King Harz. I'll show them in defenses that I think are actually viable, defenses that I think you can actually use in your guild versus guild, right? So you can still use him there. I think there are better tanks, but if you don't have those tanks, King Harz is definitely usable, right? Obviously, faction trials, the Northerner faction trials, it's a no-brainer using King Harz. He's a good tank. He's got the utility that you need to just in that top left corner in the Northern faction trial. He's really good at just holding the line until the DPS units do their thing. Um, and then the Hellfire Emperor Immortal Codex. You can use King Harz there. Again, there are better heroes out there. But he still has crowd control. He's still got CC with his freezes. So when you've got like loads of waves coming and you just need to hold back for 5 6 seconds, you just want to hold them back. You can then use King Harz's ultimate to actually freeze them and then block an extra 4 units. So he's actually he is viable for those areas of those areas of the game. And then obviously anywhere else where you need a tank. So whether it's campaign, whether it's your promotion raids, all of these things, King Harz is still viable. So don't don't fall into the trap of thinking that because you've seen all these content creators talk about how bad he is or how annoyed they are at pulling him. He's become that meme lord, like I was saying at the start of the video, but he's not that bad, right? So hopefully this video has shown you guys where you can use him. If you have found it useful, please do like, comment, subscribe to my channel because it does really help me. So hopefully I will catch you guys soon. Stay blessed.